With Virgin Media, you can build up the entertainment and tear down the price. Switch to Virgin Media today and get superfast broadband and TV for just €49 a month for an awesome 12 months. The sale that stacks up. Now on. See virginmedia.ie and check out how our mobile sales stacks up too.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. 12-month contract. Offer ends 27th of February 2019.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, coming to you from a bunker deep, deep below Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast.
I'm Frank.
And I'm Dan. And it's good to be back.
Well, welcome back, Dan.
Thank you.
Coming up on today's show, we're going to hear from some of you, our listeners.
Yeah.
And we're going to do our normal little look at the news.
A little roundup of what's going on.
What's going on in the world.
Sure.
And that whole thing. So
we're basically going to do our podcast.
We're going to do our podcast.
Is what we just
Guess what, everybody?
announced.
Today we're going to do our podcast. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
You were in Mexico.
I was.
Yeah.
Sunny Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta? Yeah.
Sí.
Oh, how nice.
It was nice. We were in one of those resorts.
Okay.
The all-inclusive thing.
Oh, that's nice.
It's not my thing. Like when I'm vacationing, I want to be out and about. I want to be mingling with locals. I want to be like,
sure,
just experiencing the culture and all that stuff.
Yeah, local color.
Instead, I felt like I was on a cruise that doesn't go anywhere.
Oh,
it's like everybody's lounging by the pool, everybody's eating their food and whatever, and it's just like, why aren't you people doing something?
Well, aren't there like things you can go do?
Yes, and we did. We had a good time.
Yeah, awesome.
Went ziplining through the canopy of the mountains.
Ooh,
very fancy.
Yeah,
was fun.
That sounds like lots of fun.
It was.
Oh, cool. Well, welcome back.
Thanks.
Well, Dan.
Yeah.
You've heard of this whole baptisms for the dead thing, right?
Wait, now who does that?
Well, it's
that's them wacky Mormons.
It's those pesky Mormons. They've been at it. They've been baptizing some dead people,
and they've been getting in trouble lately.
And they've been getting in the trouble.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been following this, names like Anne Frank showed up as having been baptized for the dead.
Sure.
Daniel Pearl.
Right, that nice Jewish reporter.
The Jewish reporter
who got killed
in Afghanistan.
They're just trying to save these poor people.
Yeah.
For eternity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They're trying to help.
Gandhi. And so anyways, basically, this is part of the story that I don't think we've really talked about much. It might have been mentioned. But there's this woman, Helen Radkey.
Mm-hmm.
She's the main whistleblower. She's a researcher here in Salt Lake.
Oh, okay.
And she has just been something of a watchdog,
right,
for the practice of baptism.
And she's just been going in. She's just been going into the old system Aru and just snooping around, seeing who's been baptized.
The access that people had,
right.
And just like being and then reporting on it,
right,
and calling the LDS Church out for when they inappropriately
when they do what they say they're not going to do,
right. Yeah. I was about to say for inappropriately baptizing people for the dead, but I think it's
widely believed to be inappropriate. Period.
Well, yeah, you think about my poor grandmother, God rest her soul, Lutheran.
Yeah, not anymore.
Never wanted to do never really liked the whole Mormon thing. And that her son, my father, had converted and all that. But boy, my mom sure is convinced that my grandmother appeared to her in a dream, accepting the work.
I believe that happened 100%. Dreams are nutty that way.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure my mom had the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just doesn't mean that my dead grandmother actually appeared to her.
If that is what it means, then I've got a lot of weird explaining to do.
about dreams.
Yeah, if dreams literally mean what are actually happening, then oh my gosh.
Well, anyways, what I've been getting to with all of this is the LDS Church. This was reported in the Salt Lake Tribune. The headline says Mormon Church blocks whistleblowers' access to proxy baptism data. So poor Helen Radkey, the whole thing that just kept her going. There's this great photo of her too, of her she's talk about.
She looks angry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She looks like a genealogist, doesn't she?
Yeah. Oh well, she looks like something. She looks. Yeah. She looks.
Well, anyways, she's a gem, right? And she's and now that the LDS Church has said, you know what, one of the main problems is that we've been giving access to just anyone, apparently. And they've been able to find when we've done stuff that are wrong, and that we've said that we wouldn't do.
All I can think about, you read the title of the article, and all I can think about is there a subtitle that just says "duh"?
No, the subtitle says "Faith says move to help prevent mischief makers from offering names of Holocaust victims."
Oh, it's meant to prevent the mischief makers.
Faith says move. Yes,
not mischief makers like Miss Radkey herself, who's been making plenty more mischief.
No, I'm sure mischief makers would include her. But anyways, what is interesting though is that the LDS Church, in response to this whole thing, this whole kerfuffle, has they actually this weekend in their Sunday church service had a statement, letter that had been written, or at least sent out from the church office of from Thomas S. Monson, the current president, president, prophet, seer, and revelator,
Tommy
Monson, and it was read over pulpits and posted on bulletin boards in every Mormon meeting house. And one of the things that they said is that violators could lose their access to the church's genealogical data.
No!
I know. Or
my access.
Even their good standing in the faith.
Wow.
Yes. So
that's a much bigger deal.
Yeah. So if they're making this something that is now worthy of church disciplinary action, then wouldn't that be a new sin?
They have created sin.
Wouldn't that be? That seems like that's what they've done.
Yeah, if you're subject to disciplinary action,
that seems like it's a sin.
You've done so well. Man, I'll tell you, the line, especially in this church, between what's a sin and what's breaking a rule that we really don't want you to break,
right,
is pretty damn thin. And if you talk to members, they don't know that line exists.
Right.
A lot of members, including very dear people to me,
right,
believe that if it's spoken by one of those guys up on the hill, it's gospel.
Right. So, I mean, no matter what, if you're not listening to the prophet's word,
right,
you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sinful just to not do what they say,
right,
period.
But, I mean, yes. But that's, I mean, an individual act is the sin.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And so, you could explain it away all you want. That no. What it really is you're not listening to the prophet. Well, I mean, wouldn't the sin then be for any of it? No. You're not listening to the voice of the Lord in the Bible.
Sure.
And that's your sin.
Right.
Right. Like, if you want to explain it away, you can explain it away.
Sure. Because
ultimately,
killing someone could be said to
any
be
of these acts,
right,
supposedly has one source,
right,
and so
sure, I hear what you're saying.
So I'm saying they created a new sin, and I feel good about saying that.
they like creating sin.
Yeah,
they created sin out of stuff that's not even that their Savior did.
They're the ones introducing sin into the world.
They really are. This whole not drinking thing.
Yeah,
Jesus drank.
They made that be a sin.
They turned that into a sin. Even Joseph Smith drank.
Oh hell yeah!
And they turned it into a sin.
Yeah.
crazy sin makers.
Yeah, and he was the one who said to avoid alcohol.
Yeah, but he
drank.
He kept drinking.
Well, that's because it was words of wisdom.
Yeah, that's all it was.
It wasn't about
Did I tell you who he stole the word of wisdom from?
Who?
All these dietary ideas. He stole them directly from the guy that invented graham crackers. Sylvester Graham.
Shut up.
Who was like this big nutty health nut guy, and he just had all these crazy ideas, and Joe Smith was like, oh, those sound pretty good. I think I'll take most of those. And
yeah.
Then years and years later, decades later, suddenly it was
somebody's adding chocolate.
It was canonical law.
Marshmallows to the graham crackers, and you have s'mores, and
then
now the Mormons are fat.
Sin. Well, they should make that a sin.
What? Being fat?
No, s'mores. Well, they should make chocolate a sin if they're going to get all uppity about caffeine.
Yeah,
not that that's anywhere written down in anything. Caffeine doesn't say.
No, it doesn't say it at all.
No, it says hot drinks.
But again, we've said this before. They'll drink Stephen's hot cocoa till the cows come home.
Oh yeah.
God.
Oh, don't try to infuse thought into this. We all know what's right if we just open our hearts to Jesus. Speaking of knowing what's right,
and Jesus,
I was listening to The Story with Dick Gordon, the show on NPR.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed it. But he was interviewing some guys who are there's a new documentary coming out called Holy Rollers. Not about holy rollers, the weird Christians that are labeled holy rollers, but about guys who are evangelical Christians who make up what is probably the largest card counting ring in the country.
Okay.
These are professional card counters.
Okay.
They go and they play.
Wait. So they're Christian card counters.
They are.
And they're saying we are doing this as Christians. They're not just people card counters who happen to be Christian.
I'm really confused about that.
They're saying that they're like, are they like doing it for Jesus?
I don't know. No, they're not. They're not doing it for Jesus because they have heavy duty investors. They have people investing millions of dollars into this enterprise, and they just take this money into casinos. They dress in disguises so that they don't get caught because all the casinos are onto these guys. And they go in and they play with other people's money. They get paid an hourly wage.
Well, if they want good costumes, they should start like dressing up as Hasids and like as Sikhs.
Sure, yeah.
The women could wear hijabs or burqa. Well, they probably wouldn't let them in if they were in burqas.
No,
but
I don't think so.
I would like to see.
And it's not like Eye in the Sky wouldn't be immediately onto them, just going in with a turban. No, don't mind us. We're just friendly Sikhs gambling like we always do.
Blackjack, anyone?
But yeah, these guys are going in and they're like, I mean, isn't there a whole Christian deal about gambling?
Christians technically don't like gambling.
Yeah.
It's
like a whole problem.
They don't. It's not practiced. Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, most of the gamblers in this country have to be Christian.
Of course, right. I mean, your more conservative faiths would, of course, say that gambling is wrong. The casinos are
cards and
sinful.
dice and cards.
Yeah. I grew up with that belief.
Sure.
I actually still don't like gambling.
Yeah, you want to hear a couple good quotes?
Sure.
One of them is talking about it. He says, blackjack makes people reassess what Christianity is. In a good way.
What?
I don't know.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. I like this other guy. This one makes a little more sense to me in the sense that I at least understand what he's saying.
Okay.
Which is, at least we can liberate some of the money from the clutches of those who would use it for ill purposes. I mean, that's a start.
Oh, my God. Yeah, it's doing good with gambling.
That's a great justification, don't you think?
Wow.
And these millionaires that are funding them. You can't make
anything work if you really just try hard enough.
Oh, well, otherwise religion would have died off way long ago.
Oh, my God, that's amazing. Okay. So,
oh, my gosh.
You were saying?
Oh, no, it's just one of those things where, these guys are obviously doing something that they know they're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And they're finding a justification for it, and they're making a lot of money. That's the truth of the matter. They're making a lot of money. They're making these investors a lot of money. It's not like these. I mean, you got to know these investors are not pure driven snow.
Oh no!
So it's not like these guys are taking money from the devil and giving it to the good guys.
Well, yeah, it's not. It's not like the soup kitchen is just like
putting
everything on the line.
That is fucking brilliant. I love it.
It's Sister Act Part 3.
Only this time, the sisters are in the casino.
Oh, yeah.
And they ain't singing.
No. Well, they have the scene in the casino.
I know,
right? Yeah. Okay.
But now they need to be playing. And you can't kick a nun off of your table just because you think she might be counting cards. It'd be sinful.
Yeah. Well, she wouldn't be doing it. Hello. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
Do you know that nice Anderson Cooper?
That very nice, not gay.
Not gay at all. Not gay.
Newscaster that
definitely not gay.
Is under a lot of pressure right now to continue to not continue not being gay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Whatever. Anyways,
I'm off on a tangent.
He has a sort of a Oprah formatty type talk show.
Yeah, you introduced me to. I had no idea.
Anderson. Okay,
which is great.
Hello, Oprah.
Yeah, okay. I know. Although it sounds like it's a last name because he has two last names.
Oh, that's true. Anyways, there's an audience. He stands out in the audience with a microphone, and there's people up on a stage, and he interviews them. And I mean, I haven't actually sat and watched a whole episode.
And why would you?
Yeah, I wouldn't. But they do post wonderful.
Gentleman.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, they do post good little snippets of the show, and so I want to play for you a little snippet from Anderson.
Oh, exciting!
And just to set this up, because I'm kind of taking it in the middle here.
Yeah.
This is a young woman. I think she's 17. 15 or 17. I can't remember exactly. I think she's 17.
A teenager.
She's a teenager. And she's one of three girls who all look exactly alike. They're sisters. Cute girls.
Sure.
Their creepy father is sitting on the end, and he has sort of a ministerial collar. Right,
like a priest,
but he's obviously. I mean, he has his daughters up, so he's not a priest.
I'm gonna look at this. Yeah. Oh, he is creepy. He is not a good-looking fella.
You watched it earlier, Dan. Come on. And so, anyways,
well, but he's a creepy
he's a creepy-looking guy. Anyways, so Anderson Cooper is questioning these girls about their activities as exorcists.
Yeah.
So let's take a listen.
Okay.
And you say your first exorcism that you were involved with was actually on a friend of yours, like a 15-year-old.
Yes.
What made you feel you needed to do an exorcism on your friend?
Actually, she was a 15-year-old girl, and she was actually Bryn's friend who came in from out of town. We were just at a sleepover, and she started talking to us about, she had been a really strong Christian. She'd wandered away from God, and the devil had gotten some hooks in her. And so Bryn actually led her back to God. And then we were able to perform an exorcism on her because by coming back to God... after the sleepover, yeah.
But I mean, okay, so how do you know someone... You say she went away from God. There's plenty of people who have issues in their lives or problems or unhappy. How do you know it's demonic possession? I mean, how did you determine your friend was demonically possessed?
At that point, I had been going through training for about a year, so I kind of knew what to look for. She was experiencing a terrible splitting headache for no apparent reason. And one of the telltale signs of demonic possession that Hollywood gets right, is the eyes. The pupils dilate sporadically, and I know that can be kind of a common thing, but when it's demonic possession, it is sporadic dilations, extractions very quickly, and you look in someone's eyes, and after seeing training, you can see the evil. And so Bryn and I sat down with this girl, and we looked in her eyes, and for the first time in my life, I saw a demon in someone. And it was shocking, yet convincing.
I mean, I got to say, I don't know that it's true that you can see evil in somebody. I mean, I've met plenty of people who are evil and can smile just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Savannah, what kind of training have you had to be able to do this?
We spend hours every week training and working with Reverend Larson. He takes us through exorcisms. He shows us the material we need to memorize, the scriptures that correspond with what we're doing. It is all biblically based. So there is a lot of research that goes into it. We spend hours training so we know what to look for, those telltale signs.
So there you have it.
Oh, my gosh.
Teen exorcists.
Can I just say something?
Oh, yeah. What?
Worst sleepover game ever. I'm down with your Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. But when you start actually doing exorcisms,
yeah.
I mean, just get out a Ouija board like a normal teenager, will you?
Guaranteed these girls won't go within 10 miles knowingly of a Ouija board.
No.
That's a devil's toy.
I also guarantee
a devil will come, or a demon will come up through the board into your hands.
And then you got to exercise everybody.
Your eyes start dilating all weird.
I also guarantee you that
and you
that
get a
girl...
splitting headache.
You do. It's awful. I also guarantee you that girl will never go back to their house ever again.
Oh, dear God, no. The weirdest thing happened to me at this party, Mom.
Yeah, you are never to see those girls again. I came up with a good idea, though.
What's that?
Optometrists as demon detectors.
Oh, hey, that should be, after they blow the air in your eye.
They should be testing for this. Well, you're slightly myopic and you have a little bit of demon in you. You have a little glaucoma, nothing to worry about. I'm more concerned about the demonic possession.
Yeah, these girls are never allowed to work in an optometrist office.
Oh my God.
But I don't know. I'm fascinated by the idea of exorcism. It's really just such a bizarre thing to me.
Can I admit something just horribly embarrassing to you right now?
Have you had a demon exorcised from you?
I experimented with casting out a devil on my own once as a teenager.
Who?
A kid at my school, a friend at my school
who thought that he was possessed.
No.
You just saw his eyes dilate.
Here's the deal. It was her.
Okay.
I was extremely pious as a Mormon,
right,
working so hard to be a really good Mormon and believe everything.
Daniel.
I'm serious. This is embarrassing for me.
Okay,
and this girl came to me and she was suicidal and she was she was going through a really rough time.
Okay.
And I was at my wit's end. Like I had tried to help her, which now finally, as an adult I realize you can't help somebody. No. You can't save somebody. But I wanted to save her, and I wanted to, and I tried everything, and she just kept coming back to me with all of these, I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And I was just like, fuck, no, da, da, da. And at one point, I looked at her and just thought, well, maybe Jesus is, maybe this is a God thing. Maybe God can help here. And I just called upon my Aaronic priesthood in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which means nothing. And I prayed and I said, get this demon or get this devil or something out of you or whatever. And she,
to her face.
To her face.
Wow.
And she looked at me like she should have looked at me, which was like I was the craziest dipshit on the planet. And I was so embarrassed. It was it was one of those butt-clenchingly embarrassing moments of my life.
Oh my God, Dan.
But that's how seriously I took it.
No, I know. I know. I'm trying to process this.
Oh my God. It's bullshit. It's this crazy mind fuck.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Well, as somebody though who believed Like, what? I mean, I guess you kind of said it. You know, you tried everything else.
Yeah.
But like,
it's one of those things. They tell you that the devil gets in you.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And what am I supposed to do? Not believe that? I was trying to actually believe the bullshit that they spew at you.
Yeah.
Which nobody really tries to believe. They believe it on this sort of superficial level. But when you deep delve into it,
right,
and try to believe the crazy shit that they tell you, it turns into that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like Mormonism doesn't have a place for, exorcism.
No, it's there.
They wouldn't go around calling it exorcism.
No, they don't. That's not what they say. But
casting out demons.
Yeah, they have a whole history of that. They do it, and they still do it.
They still do. Interesting, Dan.
I
don't think in my belief that I don't think I ever would have gone to that place for somebody's problem.
Right.
And now, of course, I never dealt with somebody coming to me and saying that they, were contemplating suicide.
Right.
But like, that really kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow, Daniel.
Nutty.
Daniel the Exorcist.
I know. Didn't work. Well, I mean, she didn't commit suicide, so maybe it did work.
Dan.
I did it, everybody.
You should, one of the clips that we didn't watch
was on the Anderson Cooper show?
On the Anderson Cooper thing was Anderson Cooper asking this minister dude how much he charges for an exorcism.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of fun to watch the guy try to dodge it.
Yeah.
Try to if somebody...
These other people do it for free. People in my ministry will do it for free.
They do it for free. But if somebody requests me and I have to travel, then I expect my travel expenses to be covered and then a donation to be made. And Anderson Cooper just he's like $400 to $500, and he's like, $500.
It could get up there.
Sure. Yeah, that could be a donation.
Oh my gosh.
Right, like this guy lives off of donating. This is the whole thing.
He said he
of
did
being
multiples a day.
Well, yeah.
Dude's making a shit ton of money.
Then Anderson Cooper's like, oh yeah, and then of course there's the 20-question test that must be like on this guy's website or something. But in order to take the test, you have to pay. Well, he says $10, and the minister guy corrects him and goes $9.95.
Right. and it's a test to see am I demonically possessed?
And the guy's like, oh my God.
And Anderson Cooper had taken that test and said he thought he might be possessed.
And I'm sure they probably would agree.
I'm guessing so.
Yeah.
I mean,
he does stuff
not
to
that
other
we have,
men.
Not that we have any evidence
none
of anything that he's
except
ever
for
done.
Gaydar going off like mad. And actually, anecdotal story related from a friend of mine who used to be a television cameraman in Washington, D.C.
Oh.
And he was sent on assignment to cover Katrina, I want to say.
This is juicy.
Yeah, I know. Oh, my God. and he had a long... He was able... Like, their station was like... was set up right next to CNN. And Anderson Cooper was, down there reporting and everything.
Yes.
And
he's very rugged.
Rugged. And this friend of mine was like, and yes. And I'm like, well, I mean, he didn't say anything to you. And he's like, yeah, but there's the persona on camera, and then there's the persona as soon as the camera turns off. He's like, the man is gay.
From New Orleans, I'm Anderson Cooper. Good show, everybody! That was great!
Who wants a facial?
Somebody bring me my Manhattan.
Who wants to go out for brunch tomorrow?
Yeah. Hey, wait, I go to brunch.
Damn. You go to brunch more than I go to brunch.
I know, I go to brunch every week because I love it.
Yep.
All right. Do you know who Lisa Murkowski is?
She's a member of Congress.
She is a state senator from the good state of Alaska.
State senator?
Or not state senator, a senator.
A senator.
United States senator.
U.S. senator from the state of
Alaska.
Okay.
I needed to be more clear on that. If you'll recall, her husband, her father was the state senator, the senior senator from Alaska. Yes. And I think also a governor of Alaska.
Okay.
And then she took over. I think he died or something. Anyway.
Political legacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
A Republican.
Okay.
Well, I'm proud of this woman.
Okay. What did she do?
Here's the deal. You know the Blunt Amendment, which is the amendment that was introduced recently in the Congress that was about this big flap about the birth control.
Mm-hmm.
And Obama wanting to mandate coverage of birth control regardless of whether or not you think it should be mandated.
Right. Whether your employer thinks it should be mandated.
Right, exactly.
And is
a
religious organization.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
So there was a big flap about that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there was the big flap about only men getting to testify before Congress about this issue, which was great.
Right,
and then there was the flap about, we don't really want to go into the whole Rush Limbaugh thing, do we?
I don't know what we could possibly add to that conversation.
Except that he's a steaming pile of crap, and we all know that.
Yes, I'll go there.
Right.
And then move on.
Yeah, it's not like that should be news to anyone.
Right. I don't want to say anything about Rush Limbaugh.
Right. Anywho, Murkowski voted for this amendment.
Mm-hmm.
This amendment, by the way, which was never going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
It was always just posturing. However, here's what's interesting. She retracts it. She says that, let's see, she says, I have never had a vote I've taken where I have felt that I let down more people that believed in me.
Wow.
She is on board. She recognizes that this is a health issue.
Wow.
That this is a woman's issue.
Wow.
And she is completely penitent to the point that, and she's a Catholic.
Wow. Okay.
Here's what she said. I have always said, if you don't like abortion, the best way to deal with it is not to have unwanted pregnancies in the first place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's Planned Parenthood's line.
That's spot on.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? It's through contraception, she says.
Yeah.
Then she says, and I think that this is fascinating, I don't adhere to all the tenets of my faith. I'm a Republican. I don't adhere to all the principles that come out of my party. I'm also not hesitant to question whether I think that my church, my religion, is not current. Yeah.
Wow.
Ain't that a thing? That seemed like a big deal to me.
Wow. Lisa Murkowski.
Oh. Setting up what I think is an awesome example.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing because in that position, her voice carries so much cachet.
Absolutely.
So much weight. I mean, it's
I don't think anyone can question her street cred as a Republican.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Right? Like coming out of that and with her background and who she is.
And in Alaska. We know Alaska is as red as a red. Well, I mean, it's not as red as this.
I don't think everybody could hear me rolling my eyes.
But they did go back pretty far. I think he saw his brain.
I'm surprised that the microphone did not pick up the sound of my eyes rolling. Yeah. So, anyhow.
Yeah. Anyway, I congratulations, Senator Murkowski.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, another fun thing that's been out in the news.
Yeah.
These. I got a lot of. I guess I don't know. I had one thing that wasn't Mormon.
It's okay to have Mormon things.
It's okay. It's totally okay.
People
to have
know
Mormon
that
things. We're in Salt Lake, and we're former Mormons, or
Formans, as I like to call us.
I don't know what to think about that. So Dan,
yeah,
you know about this whole Mormons and blacks and the priesthood thing?
Oh yeah,
we've talked about this, right?
Yeah. How they didn't have it for the longest time. The blacks weren't allowed to have the priesthood.
Were not allowed to have the priesthood in the Mormon church.
Yeah.
The priesthood being the authority to act basically priestly in the name of God on earth.
It's magic powers.
It's magic powers.
Full-on magic powers. And the ability to go to heaven, to the highest form of heaven.
And cast out demons.
Cast out demons, yeah.
As Dan did.
I got to do it.
Yeah.
Dipshit like me gets the priesthood, but some black guy can't have it.
Well, anyways, there was some flack this last week or so. There's this religion professor down at Brigham Young University.
Down to the BY?
Down the Y, right? Yeah. Who is quoted in a Washington Post article about the LDS Church's history with race.
Oh.
And how it's been an evolving stance.
Indeed.
And it's been inconsistent through history.
Right.
And it's an interesting read. It's a good read. I would recommend it. Maybe we'll put a link up on the blog.
Okay.
That's thankgodimatheist.com.
Good plug. Good plug.
Good plug. And so anyways, he comes out and he says some things to kind of explain, to kind of justify, right, the stance. And he points to Mormon holy text, the Book of Abraham. We've talked about the Book of Abraham.
Yeah.
And that, talking about sort of this history of that it recounts that all the descendants of Ham and Egyptus were black and barred from the priesthood. And the Ham being the son of Noah, right? Egyptus was his dark-skinned wife.
Right.
And
we talked about that.
We did talk about that. Yeah. I'm just refreshing people's minds.
Indeed.
Anyway, so this is the mark of Cain. Brigham Young is on record as he's quoted as saying that the mark on Cain was, quote, I want this to be attributed to him, quote, the flat nose and black skin. Okay. So they have a pretty good, solid, history here.
Yeah.
So he says, this is Randy Bott, religion professor. He says, God has always been discriminatory. Okay. That's the end of the quote. And then, the article starts to fill it in when it comes to whom he grants the authority of the priesthood. Okay. And he, quotes Mormon scripture that says that the Lord gives to people all that he seeth fit. And then Bott compares blacks with a young child prematurely asking for the keys to her father's car.
Oh no! Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Immature black people.
Yeah.
You cute little Dickens, you. Oh my!
Couldn't possibly until the year 1978.
They weren't ready
when they finally matured.
They finally graduated
when they turned 16 and could get the keys to the car.
Oh my God! That is so gross.
Yeah. So, and so here he goes on. What is discrimination? Bott asks. I think it is keeping something from somebody that would be a benefit for them, right? But what if it wouldn't have been a benefit to them?
Because they would have just crashed the damn car.
Bott says that the denial of the priesthood to blacks on Earth, denial of the priesthood to blacks on Earth protected them from the lowest rungs of hell reserved for people who abuse their priesthood powers. Quote, you couldn't fall off the top of the ladder because you weren't on the top of the ladder. So in reality, the blacks not having the priesthood was the greatest blessing God could give them.
Holy shit. If there is any prophecy that occurs within the presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, their butts were twitching before this came out. And they didn't know why. Because this is like shitstorm central.
Oh, yeah. So it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? People were freaking out about this. In fact, it hit Slate.
Isn't he one of the most popular professors
He is
at the school?
most popular professor at BYU, hands down. This professor rating website of, God, I can't
It's
remember.
like Rate My Prof or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. He's so highly rated that you could say that he is perhaps the most popular professor in the country.
He was at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So like this guy, his students love him. Okay.
Gosh.
They flock to his classes. They enjoy his classes. They and obviously would give a lot of credence to what he has to say.
Right.
If he's saying this to the Washington Post,
Clearly he's been saying this.
He's
been saying this for years.
Yeah, and so
he's indoctrinated a whole.
It's pretty wild. But the good little gem in here, because the article is really asking and trying to answer the question of are Mormons still? Is there racism still like prevalent within Mormonism? Right. And so the article is sort of structured as, well, here's the history, here's what people currently say, this is how the blacks finally got the priesthood. It says, that, even in, 1981, the church changed scripture so that it would read, so that a righteous tribe in the Book of Mormon is no longer described as white, but simply as pure.
Right.
White
and delightsome, I believe, was the phrase that was.
Yeah, white and delightsome, and now it says pure and delightsome. And so anyways, that's the structure of this whole thing. And then they say the reporter obviously was on campus at BYU and says nearby in the Wilkinson Center, which is kind of a student union. Yeah, it's a student union. Students attended a 70s dance in honor of Black History Month. They dressed in funky outfits and listened to a DJ playing Brick House under a slideshow featuring a dunking Dr. J, the cast of Different Strokes, and a box of Count Chocula cereal.
Oh my God! Oh my God! You're serious about Count Chocula?
It says it right here. Oh my God!
I did not know he was black.
Well, it's chocolate.
Oh my God! That is okay. It's too much. There's too much here. There's too much. I gotta say, I will say this, and I mean this.
Yeah.
I think that systemically, or rather organizationally, the Mormon Church has really done a great job of expunging racism.
I would agree.
I think they've done they've really made a concerted effort. They've worked very hard. Mm-hmm. That's the system. So systemically, I think they're good.
Right.
However, Mormons themselves, and especially Utah Mormons, I can't really speak very, very well to Mormonism outside of Utah culturally.
Okay.
But culturally inside of Utah, it's still a fucking racist place.
Yeah, well, I don't think that you can be in such a predominantly white community.
That's true.
And shelter your children as much as Mormons do shelter their children from the outside world.
Right. As a concerted effort.
Absolutely as a concerted effort.
Right.
And then be surprised when those children grow up and have... They may not actually have beliefs that other races are lesser, but they have absolutely no clue how to appropriately interact with people of different races,
discuss race as
a concept, to hold a dance during Black History Month.
Right. So inappropriate.
So completely inappropriate. And that stems from
And people,
just the demographics of Utah and the way that Mormons raise their kids.
And you listeners out there who aren't in Utah, who have never been to Utah, if you go to the BYU campus, there is not a whiter place on the planet.
If you come to Salt Lake, you'll
even
be
the black people there are white.
Like, okay, that's a little much, Dan. That's a little much.
No, but it is so white there. It's uncomfortably white.
Right. You come to Salt Lake and you're going to be like, especially if you're coming from like a major urban center,
right.
of the, one of the big American cities. You were going to come to Salt Lake and you're going to go, wow, this is a pretty white place.
Yes.
Fact of the matter is,
Salt
Lake compared to Provo
is like totally diverse.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable the difference.
No, it's. I mean,
and you notice it coming from Salt Lake down to Provo.
You notice it, you feel it.
Yeah.
And here's it's interesting. Just recently, the show What Would You Do?
Yeah, They stage scenarios for people to. They test people's ethics, basically, right?
And I think their most recent one was in Utah.
Oh, you're kidding.
They did one in Brigham City, and they did one in Provo.
Oh, no way.
And Brigham City is a small town north of Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm.
Provo's south of Salt Lake City. In Brigham City, they did a race one. Actually, featuring my friend, actor Carlton Bluford, on as their actor. It's not easy to find black actors in Utah, but they do exist.
Mm-hmm.
and he did a great job.
Okay.
So basically, he was the young boyfriend to this girl, and she was introducing him to her dad. Is the setup?
Okay, and this is happening in a public space,
in a restaurant.
Okay, all right.
And so, hey, Dad, this is Carlton, and then he of course blows up, and you can't be with him, and he's black, and you didn't tell me he was black, and how did you get accepted into my daughter's school? Did you have a basketball scholarship? And he was spouting a bunch of racist shit.
Right.
And of course the whole setup is, let's see how the people around respond.
Exactly.
And one guy who was eating at this restaurant alone on his 40th birthday, which I thought was kind of sad. He goes and stands up. He goes up to the dad and says, "Hey, I won't hear you spouting this racist stuff."
Wow.
In the middle of the thing, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
And then,
so, but like that's one person.
That's one person,
and they usually do this over and over.
Right?
Like, were multiple people in Brigham City responding similarly?
No.
Okay.
So the next thing that they show is this old lady. Uh-oh. And an old lady, old people.
You can find them anywhere.
Yeah, and so this old lady is like,
and by that I mean racist old people.
Right. So they have the kids leave the argument, and the old lady leans over to the dad and is like, "You're right," and blah blah blah. And the dad's like, "Oh, are you sure? Am I doing the right thing?" And she's like, "White should stay with white, and colored people should stay with colored people, and you stay with the people that are your kind, and blah blah blah."
Birds
and she goes off. Now again, I'm actually, racism is never okay, but this lady was like 3 steps from death. And frankly, if you're that old, it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks.
Well, yeah. And
what was disturbing was the woman sitting behind her, who was middle-aged, maybe in her 40s, early 40s. It looked like to me. If not, she's probably in her 30s and just looks old. She first of all, to give context, she starts to cry. But she's a Mormon, and Mormons cry.
They'll cry.
They are criers.
Yeah.
People outside of Utah wouldn't understand this watching this, but she starts to cry, and you're like, why is she crying? She leans over and she's like, "My daughter has a friend, and she swears he's just a friend, but I just said to her, 'You will not date him.' And she says he's just a friend, but it just scares me." And I was like, holy shit. It was so bad.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
Wow.
Because you know it's there, but yeah.
So that's Brigham City. What about Provo?
Provo was the gay.
Different?
It was a gay thing.
Oh,
kid coming out to his dad.
Okay.
Provoans fared pretty damn well.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. What's amazing though is everyone that came to the kid's defense had a brother that was gay.
No way.
That's what it was.
Wow.
They were all like, yeah, and at first it made me sick, and I just wanted to throw up and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Now he's like the best member of our family, and he's like the most loving, awesome guy, and I just love him to death. So you should just accept your son and blah, 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 which is the right message.
Yeah, that is. That's an amazing message, actually.
Right.
That the initial reaction was one of not accepting.
Right.
And then turning, and okay.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
good.
I think that's absolutely beautiful. And again, it points to what we've said before about, like, what's the correct course of action when it comes to something that's shunned by society, like being gay, or in our case, being an atheist, and that is come out.
Yeah,
if you have the bravery, if you have the courage and the will, just come out, because other people need your support.
Well, and I think that that also, though, just stepping back slightly, the difference, and this is not to justify anything. It's just kind of a thought. The difference between Provo and Brigham City and the tests that were being done is that, someone you know and love is gay.
Right.
Someone you know and love isn't necessarily black.
Right.
And it is an exposure thing.
In Brigham City, you'd never find. I doubt there's any black people.
Right.
In Brigham
Exactly.
City. I don't think there are. No, I'm serious. It's a town of 20,000 people.
I'm sure there's someone.
Really?
I'm not gonna.
I've spent a lot of time in Brigham. I've never seen a black person there.
Huh. Anyways, it's
That
not to
doesn't
justify.
that doesn't prove anything.
It's not to justify.
No.
Anything. But it is, and it's going to be the same way with atheism.
Right.
As people come out, it's going to work a little bit more probably like the whole gay thing.
Right.
Because you'll have the atheist in a family who says, you know what, I know you're all a bunch of Mormons, but I don't believe it anymore.
Right. The other thing we need to do is start training atheists not to be so goddamn confrontational and angry all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, and there was one other thing that I wanted to mention. If you want to see what racism might look like on the BYU campus, because at BYU is a special place. There's a video somewhere floating around online. I'll try and find it and put it on thankgodimatheist.com. Mm-hmm. It's a guy, and the whole setup of the video I find horribly questionable to begin with, but it's a guy who puts on blackface and goes and interviews BYU students about Black History Month.
Right.
And there's this, but what he does uncover, I think the blackface thing was such a misstep. Such a
was he trying to, I mean,
I don't think that it worked.
Whatever, it was not a good choice. It was, no matter what he was trying to do, it was just not a good choice.
But if you move past that, what you see is what's interesting about the racism that occurs in BYU.
Okay.
Which is that it's there. It's got a really slick surface to it, so it's hard to spot at first.
Okay.
But there's because people, but more than anything, it's not even like a conscious racism so much as it is an ignorance. It's what we were talking about. It's like they just don't understand the conversation. They don't understand how to talk about it. They don't understand what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. It's just blind ignorance.
Right.
Anyway, maybe we'll put that on there.
All right, cool.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit.
All right.
And talk about my personal favorite person in the world.
Oh, who's that, Dan?
Miley Cyrus. One Miss Hannah Montana. She's so great.
Okay.
No. Anyway, no, actually, so she got in a little bit of trouble recently.
What'd she do?
She tweeted a pic and the word beautiful, because it was a pic of it was a picture of Lawrence Krauss, who's a theoretical physicist.
Okay.
And it comes with a quotation that says, I'll just read the whole quotation because I like it. Every atom in your body came from a star that exploded, and the atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than the atoms in your right hand. It really is the most poetic thing I know about the universe. You are all stardust. You couldn't be here if stars hadn't exploded, because the elements, the carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, all the things that matter for evolution, weren't created at the beginning of time. They were created in stars. So forget Jesus. Stars died so you could live.
Uh-oh.
Controversy! Little Miss Hannah Montana's in some trouble.
Oh boy, what has she said since then? Anything?
A little bit, but not much. Honestly, she actually didn't say anything about it until I think it was today on the Twitters. And then she started tweeting things about I like this one. She said, "It's sad. It makes me sad to think that the world is this way." Here's what she tweeted that I liked. How can people take the love out of science and bring hate into religion so easily?
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Who is this girl?
Really astute. I kind of love that.
Well, all right. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah. To which, by the way, someone replied, "You're utterly retarded, aren't you?"
Wow.
Oh my God.
Well, let's take a quick break, Dan.
Let's do that.
But before we do, I just want to make sure people know how they can join the conversation.
Indeed.
You can always leave us a voicemail at 424-666-TGIA. That's 424-666-8442.
We'll be hearing a voicemail in just a minute, as a matter of fact. You can also email us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
And you can follow the Twitter feed at TGIAtheist.
Also, find us on Facebook.
Find us on Facebook.
Thank God I'm Atheist. It's Facebook/Thank God I'm Atheist, or you can just search for us.
Sure. And, of course, there's the blog, thankgodimatheist.com. So, what we're going to be listening to during our short break is a clip of one Mr. Pat Robertson.
Oh, he's a peach.
He is a peach. Anything we need to do to set this up?
Let's just let him go.
Let's listen.
This is Don from Illinois who wants to know, why did God send the tornadoes?
God didn't send tornadoes. God set up a world in which certain currents interfere and interact with other currents. When you have a warm group of air coming out of the south, coming up against a cold mass that's up in the north, you'll get vortexes, and that in turn will spawn tornadoes. God doesn't send tornadoes to hurt people. He doesn't send, we call them acts of God, but they're not. So all I can say is that why do you build houses in a place where tornadoes are apt to happen?
Yeah. Well, and this year, of course, the weather patterns, the warm winter and the warm, early part of the year that we're having seems to affect all of that. But I think the bigger question for people spiritually is always not so much why did God send them, but why didn't he intervene? Don't you think people always ask that question when there's tragedy?
If enough people were praying, he would intervene. You could pray. Jesus stilled the storm. You could still storms. But, the hurricane, for example, is a release mechanism that God set in to take the heat out of this world and to transfer heat around various parts of the globe. It's very necessary. The fact that people decide they want to build houses on the edge of an ocean, it's their fault. It's not God's. It's the same thing with if you're going to build a house on the San Andreas Fault. There's going to be a fault. The earth is faulted, and there are going to be earthquakes. So don't blame God for doing something foolish.
Oh, my God.
Don't blame God.
Honestly, it's like...
Who is this man?
He is all over the map. I'll tell you who he is. He's apparently a meteorologist. That's who he is.
That was some pretty clearly explained weather phenomena.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow. Really? The hurricane releases and redistributes heat around the planet? I thought that was God's finger that did that.
No. Not only is... Okay, first of all, who is this guy? Because for decades, this guy has been telling us that weather phenomena are God's judgment against us.
Yeah.
So what the hell?
Well, he's the one who famously talked about Katrina. Yeah. And that it was God's wrath, right?
Because of the gays and the abortions and the whatnot.
Down there.
And the feminists.
Yeah.
I think he actually did say feminists were also part of the problem.
Wow. Yeah. And then there's that. He famously also talked about Haiti.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
With the earthquake. And I mean, he mentions the San Andreas Fault there. So, what? Isn't it this...
He was the one who, back in 1998, warned the city of Orlando, Florida, not to put up rainbow flags to celebrate Gay Day because he said, I don't think I'll be waving those flags in God's face. I don't think I'd be waving those flags in God's face if I were you. A condition like this will bring about the destruction of your nation. It'll bring about terrorist bombs. It'll bring earthquakes, tornadoes, and possibly a meteor.
Wait, what year?
98.
Well, he called the terrorist thing.
He did. That meteor's on its way. The meteor's definitely coming. Oh, my God.
Oh, Daniel. Oh, God, Pat Robertson. Yeah, some inconsistency when it hits the heartland, when it hits the Bible Belt.
Right.
Kind of a different response from one Mr. Pat Robertson about God's intentions and God's role and what God does with weather.
Wonder if he would have said the same thing.
Kind of lets weather do its thing, according to Pat Robertson.
Unless it hits New Orleans.
And then, of course, it's God's wrath.
If those tornadoes had been in Vegas, he would have had a field day.
Well, I personally, if I were Pat Robertson, I wouldn't be so quick to just dismiss.
Just throw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Actually, I don't want to make light of tornadoes. A lot of people were hurt. So
yeah, that's.
I was about to go down a route that didn't feel too good. So I'm going to let the light of Christ point me in the right direction.
Good job.
And I'm not going to.
Way to feel the spirit.
Go that way. Yeah. All right. Well,
we got some emails from people,
folks.
People are writing in saying some awfully nice things to us.
Richard. Should we start with Richard?
Sure. Talk about him.
Yeah. Richard starts saying that he recently discovered the podcast and how much he enjoys it. Yeah, really nice. He has a suggestion, however.
Okay.
Dan, that I think we're going to have to take up.
Oh,
we're going to have to do this. Christian movie reviews.
Richard, why are you making me watch Christian movies? Okay, we're going to do it.
He says that he likes the church reviews, but out of all the atheist podcasts I've listened to, and I've listened to almost every one of them, I've never heard much discussion about Christian movies except The Passion of Christ.
It makes sense for us to do it. We're film guys.
Yeah, and he actually he suggests that there's a bunch on Netflix, and so okay. All right, we'll have some boozy.
I'm gonna get drunk. And we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
So we'll get to that in a couple of weeks. Dan and I have a couple busy weeks ahead of us. So I'm gonna be in Oklahoma for a week.
Forgive us, Richard, if we don't get right to it.
But yeah, we're that's on the list. We're gonna.
It's a good one. We'll do it. Catherine, did you get Catherine's email?
I did get Catherine's email.
Catherine, I just want to shout out to Catherine.
Shout out to Catherine.
It was a really nice email. And
super awesome email.
She's 13. Yeah. So sorry about the language.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I don't think she minds.
I don't think she cares.
But
don't let your parents know that you're I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well.
No, I hope her parents are listening.
I hope her parents listen as well.
Yeah. Anyway, but it was a really nice message, and I wish her the best.
Yeah,
good job.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Catherine from North Carolina.
And then there's Jared from Evanston, Wyoming.
Evanston, fantastic Evanston, where Salt Lakers all go to get their illicit booze. And fireworks,
kegs of beer.
Yeah,
and smokes that aren't legal in the state of Utah.
Indeed.
Let's see what.
Said some nice stuff, but he also talked about his mission. And
he talks about going on an LDS mission, and kind of relates a story about. Well, he actually it's kind of interesting because he's talking about podcast 10. Mm-hmm. So a number of podcasts ago, when we were, I think one or the other of us had sort of posed the question of would Mormons baptize somebody who was post-op transgender,
right?
And we were both kind of, I think, stumped.
Yeah,
we were like,
no idea.
If they did it before, what would they,
right.
whatever.
And it also leads into questions about who gets the priesthood. Does a female to male transgender person get the priesthood? Blah blah blah.
Right. And so he recounts a story of being on his mission and met a woman who was just like the perfect candidate for baptism. Turns out that she had been a man, had been excommunicated from the LDS church.
Oh, so she had already, that's right. She had already been a member.
Because he became a woman.
Because he became she.
But anyways, he says, we were told that if he had not had the full operation, that he could have been rebaptized if he went back to a male.
Wow.
But I guess once you do the snippy, there's no correcting it in the LDS mind, correcting in quote.
Which again is a bit of a kettle of fish, because what happens to somebody who like a soldier in Afghanistan who gets his junk blown off?
Well, that's totally different.
Well, I know it's different, but I mean, isn't that the crux of this, is like the actual physical removal of the genitals?
I think it's the intention is what they're...
Yeah, probably.
Sure. And also the fact that it has something to do with homosexuality or...
it's pretty queer.
Sexuality that is somehow, different from their norm.
Yeah.
But anyways, but this is actually kind of funny. He says, then we got in trouble because we were found out, basically it was found out that we weren't taking a third priesthood holder from the ward when we taught single women discussions. So here is a man who, like, in their eyes is still a man, but blah blah.
Right.
Blah,
That's
blah.
yeah.
Really, really, really funny.
That is funny.
Or at least I thought that was funny. So thank you, Jared. And
take care of yourself out there in Evanston. Yeah. It's Wyoming's never been my favorite place in the world. It's not that exciting, but I hope that Jared has an awesome time out there.
Yeah. Evanston's a neat little town on the border, wouldn't you say? Don't look at me like that.
Evanston's fine.
They've got a cute little downtown area. Have you ever been into Evanston beyond the shops at the border?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's fine.
Whatever.
It's fine.
All right. Well, we have a voicemail that we want to play.
Yeah, let's play the voicemail. That's
all right. Cool. Let's listen.
Hey guys, this is Eric from Colorado. I just listened to the show with Dan and Adam, and you guys were agreeing with Santorum about not apologizing for the burning of the Qurans in Afghanistan, and I wanted to express my opinion on that I'm an Afghan war veteran and, of course, an atheist, and I worked alongside armed Afghans every day for a whole year, and I knew at any time they could shoot me, so that was always a concern. So now I completely agree with Obama and all the generals apologizing just so we can get the American military out of there, alive. Once we leave, we don't give a shit what we do with them, but as long as there's Americans working alongside Afghans, armed Afghans, we should be apologizing and trying to get them calmed down so they don't shoot our guys in the back of the head. So that's my point. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. And that makes a lot of sense.
And that does make a lot of sense. And I think that the point that I was making had to do more with, because I think the line that I said was,
and to be clear, it was you, Frank. And
it was
Adam.
Me. Yeah, it was
not me and Adam. And by the way, I never thanked Adam for filling in for me. Thank you so much, Adam, for doing that.
Yeah,
he did a great job.
Yeah. I think though that what I was getting at, and I really hope that it didn't sound like I was, advocating sort of a dangerous position for our men and women in service. But what I was saying was that I don't think that apologizing for burning any religious text should be required.
Right.
When one does that, that it shouldn't.
Least of all when it's a mistake, when it's an accident.
Especially when it's a mistake. But even if it were intentional,
it's a book.
It's a book. It's not the word of God,
right,
of your God.
You're not burning God himself.
It's word of God according to you, transcribed, and blah blah blah. Like I don't.
And one of millions of
copies, so forth and so on. And yeah, it's an affront, and it is offensive to the believers,
right?
And I absolutely get that. But I think that also one of the things that I said in the episode was that it's not like I want Santorum to win. I want a diplomat in office.
Right, totally.
And a diplomat is somebody who would apologize for that.
And absolutely the right thing to do.
And I think it was right of Obama to do it. But
absolutely.
on just... And maybe I definitely wasn't clear about it, and maybe I should have picked a different example to try to make the point. But if it's just not apologizing about desecrating something that I don't believe I don't believe in sacred, right?
The truth of the matter is...
And so how can I desecrate anything?
Right.
And so, and I think that there's a lot of responsibility on all the parties. The way that people respond. I mean, I'm sorry, the Afghanis need to grow up.
Yeah.
Because
but we can't ask that of them right now.
We cannot.
What we can ask of them is that they don't shoot our soldiers.
Right. Exactly. And so I think that anybody that responds, like, I mean, the whole zombie Muhammad thing, right? Like these are people who need to just grow up.
Right.
They need to stop. Like, it's.
You can't hit me just because I'm making fun of your religion.
You cannot do that.
Right.
And okay, maybe, I mean, I've never been to Afghanistan, and I don't really want to go there. And so, I do appreciate the work that's being done there. But because I wouldn't want to be there. And so I don't understand it. And so, thank you, Eric, for calling us on that. Just
Good
so
point.
that we could take a moment to hopefully clarify and
yeah,
cool.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for interacting with us.
Yeah,
we sure do enjoy it.
We really enjoy it.
Can I just want to put one quick call out. I have a personal goal. It's not really a personal goal because I can't do anything about it.
Okay.
But we currently have, I think, 27 reviews on iTunes.
Yeah.
And I want to grow our listenership. I want to increase the number of people listening to us. I would like to get us up to 100 reviews on iTunes.
Okay.
And so I'm just going to go out there and ask again, if you feel the spirit move you,
prompting you,
if you've been giggling with spirit in you, it wouldn't hurt to go onto the iTunes and throw up a couple words. Just say they're funny or whatever, and then you're good.
All right.
Alrighty.
424-666 TGIA.
If you want to call us the way Eric did, leave a message. That's great. Or you can write us emails as our other friends did at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
And that's how you can join the conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for listening.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.